I want to talk about Timothée Chalamet and the Marty Supreme movie promotional tour because he has really gone in deep into it. And frankly, I'm loving it. I love the enthusiasm, how much effort he's like putting into it, who he's involving, you know,
Yep.
in it. Um, I remember his speech for the Saga Wars where he says that he wants to be one of the greatest. And I remember a lot of people just kind of rolling their eyes
Yeah.
at like the sincerity of it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? Like the fact that he's out there putting himself out there and like, showing that he wants to be great at his art, at his craft is a brilliant way to be putting himself out there. And I think the sincerity of it kind of just like rock people. I mean, we've seen how some people react to when previous, actors thinking here Anne Hathaway like genuinely wanted to win like the Oscar
Yeah.
and how she was like, persona non grata for like such a long time because of it. I'm not seeing as much hate for Timothy, thankfully, because I just don't think it's warranted and he absolutely is like at the top of his craft. So the fact that
Yeah.
he's now going full tilt into like marketing his movie,
Mhm.
which, it's an A24 movie, which was already going to have some
Yeah.
breakthrough just because it is an A24 movie, but it's also an indie film about
Yeah.
a ping pong, player in the 1950s. So it wasn't gonna get that much attention. So the
Yeah.
fact that he's really like going full into it and like, doing these like what's essentially like not really heard of anymore.
Yeah.
Um He's done the like that video, the 5-minute video of like, the big ping pongs walking around, and at the end, he's just kind of like sitting there looking like he's getting ready to start doing, the media tour. And then he did the Regal Cinemas like 30-minute preview of the movie where he was escorted by the guys again wearing like the big ping pong ball. He was photographed with the Hermes Kelly
Yeah.
bag in orange. I like that he's pulling in like the colors, right? You have like the orange ping pong balls, you have the
Yeah.
orange Hermes Kelly bag. He attended, I think it was a baseball game with Kylie Jenner, his current girlfriend, and she was wearing a Marty Supreme jacket. And then later, her sister Kendall Jenner was also filmed wearing the jacket. And I'm seeing a lot of tweets of like, women saying, I can't wait to wear the jacket, or to like, purchase it. So he's really like changing the game here. And like one of the things I wanted to bring up is how um we've seen this on like the actresses side with Zendaya or using fashion as like
Yeah.
the promo tour, right? Of like what
Yeah.
she's wearing and like really
No
making
one
that.
does it better. I could do an
I
entire
know.
podcast just on Law Roach. I love him. His taste is immaculate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you've seen that she's grown into this like A-list superstar, I'd say a lot because of like the fashion and the choices she's been making.
Yes.
And so I'm kind of seeing this as like Timothy Chalamet is like, well, I can't really do like fashion, so like what can I do, so
Yeah.
he's kind of created his own mode of marketing, this movie. But it's also going back to the way that he used to like do things when he was online, right? Like
Yeah.
the invitation to the Regal Cinemas event was like him, it was an Instagram story that he like, wrote on there, like, meet me here at like, the
Yeah.
time and place. And that got like a bunch of people in New York to just like come out and say like, oh my God, of course I'm gonna like, support him. And that's one of the things that we've been talking about here, that, people really want to experience those like IRL events and like do things that aren't possible, anywhere else. And if you're like living in New York, and another thing is like Timothée Chalamet is very much a New Yorker, and like he's
Yes.
espoused his love for the city and the city's teams and all that. So the fact that he's like you using the city as like a character as well. Also, the movie was set in New York.
Mhm.
Really goes to show that he's like putting his all behind this. So it sounds like you've seen a lot of the things that I'm like thinking
Yeah.
about, but are you seeing like the through line between like what he's doing here, the fashion thing, and like the other thing that he is a producer for the movie. So I think that he's earning the producer creds here, right? Of like,
Yeah.
going out there and like really promoting the movie.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely seeing the through line. I think that like out of everything that I'm seeing is that you have to adapt to attention. And so when we're looking at this, we kind of assume, or I think even Hollywood is kind of taken for granted the idea of an audience.
Hmm.
And so I think superhero movies are probably the best example of this, where we talk about superhero fatigue, but we don't so much talk about the reliance on you expecting an audience to always be there,
Mhm,
even regardless of the product. Just
mhm,
basically, if it's in this niche, they will come. And that's just not true. And we've seen, especially in Hollywood over the past few years, is that you can't just have a massive ad campaign or put trailers in front of like the new hit movie and it be enough to secure a massive box
Mhm.
office. You have to play the game. And so, what I love that he's doing is that he's bringing in guerrilla marketing the way you normally only see smaller people do. So it's really interesting to see because once you get to a big enough name or you're a household name, you kind of assume like just say my name and put my name above the line, like put my name above the title and people will show up. And
Mhm.
so I think it speaks to him understanding the craft before and after the camera rolls that that's not enough. Like he has to bring his best to the part, but then he has to sell it to make sure people even see it in the first place. And I think a lot of Hollywood has suffered because they've completely taken for granted their audience and they don't realize that you need to do both. Instead of this,
Mhm.
like, we're going to drop millions of dollars on these ad campaigns. And it's like, that's not going to cut it anymore. When everyone is doing the same tactics, it all kind of blends together and nothing feels special. So that kind of guerrilla marketing tactic, I think, is a great way for him to understand that he has to go where the people are.
Yeah, that
And
reminds me of
yeah,
Disney, like Disney shows,
yeah,
right? Because you
mhm,
would think that any Star Wars property would
yeah,
immediately just get a whole bunch of eyeballs because it's Star Wars, it's on Disney, blah blah blah. And they've done the regular campaign of like, we released a trailer, we released another one, we kind of put the stars out there, but like not really, like
yeah, yeah.
I was just thinking about Andor, which was like to me like
Oh,
the
I've
best
loved
series of the
Andor.
year. And
Yeah,
like it still doesn't have that many views, like
yeah,
for what it is, right? It's
yeah,
starting to get a little bit more because people are, out there talking about it. They're saying that it's like the best show this year. But if they had done some marketing like this, I think it
yeah,
could have done a lot better.
yeah,
So I really I agree with you. I don't think it's enough to just, oh well, this big name A-list star is attached to the movie, or
yeah, yeah,
they have to get out there and do it, And I mean, this is reminding me of
mhm,
Leonardo DiCaprio having to go into the New Heights
yeah,
podcast, the
yeah,
first time he's ever been on a podcast, because
yeah,
he also is realizing like, oh shit, I need to do
yeah,
more actual movie promoting so that
yeah,
people come watch this movie.
yeah,
Because it's a smaller film, even
yep,
though it has, big name stars attached to it. It's, Paul Thomas Anderson, who's like a
yep,
well-known director that people
yeah,
know and love, but it's
yeah,
still, not a superhero movie, you know? Um, so, he went on the podcast for the first time and like, I mean, you could tell that like he was a little like uncomfortable,
yeah,
but honestly, that was like one of the best interviews that I've seen,
yeah,
of anybody,
yeah,
not just him. So I think it's like great that they're expanding their
yeah.
usual like marketing tactics because they need to do that in order to get another audience.
Absolutely, and I think it speaks. I mean, we saw this with the election too, and having a more widespread approach of like, how do we incorporate podcasts? How do we incorporate
Hmm.
more like on the street content? How do we do all these things? And so I think that it speaks to, especially with like the economic concerns that everyone has, you cannot like, you're not just asking someone to go to the theater to see your movie. You're asking them to figure out if they're going to take their kids. If they can't take their kids, what is a babysitter going to cost? They have to go there. They're going to spend a lot of money on the ticket. They're also going to spend money on concessions. They're going to have to drive there. And then also, once they get there, the other humans in the room probably can't behave. Like, I have a massive problem with I can't handle, like, loud eaters. So, like,
Hmm.
"Don't make me president." I'd ban popcorn in theaters so fast,
I
like,
mean, I
there'd
would
be a
vote for
coup
that.
within a week, but, like, I'd get rid of the popcorn, like, "Y'all can't handle this responsibility. Shut your mouth when you eat." Like,
I
but I
mean,
can't
don't turn
do
on
it.
your phone, don't speak, like,
Yeah,
come on.
but that's honestly what it is, and so, like, I think that I think that Hollywood and also just brands in general, when they're
Mhm.
marketing, you have to understand that like the ask seems very simple to you. The CTA is very simple to you, but that is not what the whole ask is when it's internalized by the person that's getting that marketing email, that ad or whatever. Like there's so much more involved. So like great case in point is Wicked Part 2 or
Mm,
Wicked for Good.
yep.
I'm gonna take my daughter, I'm gonna buy tickets, but we're gonna also go really early in the morning. We're probably gonna do,
Mm,
like, whatever the earliest is, because that's what we saw Wicked Part 1, and I will never do a
the
popular
day
meet
of
the day like, the first day of it, do, like, the
or
earliest.
the earliest show, yeah.
So, like, I think we saw it at, like, 9 o'clock in the morning. and it was supreme because everyone that's doing it that early means business.
Yeah. We are
Like,
here to see the movie.
we are here because we care. We are locked in.
Yeah.
I'm not having a little jokey joke on the side. Like,
Hmm.
no, we are here. It's like the people who were there for like a Broadway show that know how to behave. Like, we're here. And that's exactly how that everyone behaved the way I expected them to behave. And I will never do a popular movie at like 9 o'clock on a Saturday or Friday night again because it's like those are not my people. Y'all don't know how to behave.
Yeah. One
Absolutely
thing
not.
that's yeah, yeah. One thing that's reminding me of actually is I think it matters a lot more now to get people to come out that opening weekend.
Yes. Oh yeah, it's a signal. That's
Yeah.
another thing, like attention and signal. Like that's the
Hmm.
whole show today.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think that was a huge reason why Leo was like willing to go on the podcast because he's like, we really need people to go out this first weekend. I mean, even right before that, there was all like, the Deadline and Variety article saying like, oh, they've spent,
Yeah,
I think it was $150 million on this, and it's probably only going to bring in like 10 million, and that's already being seen as like, oh no, it's going to flop.
it's another
No one's going
one.
to go watch that movie. Like, why even bother going, right? And so
Yes.
like, I remember that
Variety's
like
kind of been on
last
my
week.
hit list though, because they've had some really sketchy like titles.
Totally, totally. Because it's not even just that one. Sinners, remember
What they
that
did to
happened?
Sinners is unconscionable to me. They
Yeah.
really tried to make that movie not do well, and I have a
Yeah.
lot of problems because that movie was absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
I love Sinners. Such a
Yeah.
good movie.
Yeah. But so the point is that you're trying to get people to go that first weekend to signal
Yeah.
to other people that they
Yep.
need to
So
go
they need to
watch the
go.
movie.
Yep.
So you need to get as much attention as possible around the time that the movie's going to come out. The other thing that Timothy is doing here is like, this is like 3 months out, right? Like this movie's
Yeah.
coming out Christmas Day. So it's like a slow roll marketing campaign that he's doing. He's getting the attention now. I think it debuted at New
Yeah.
York Film Festival,
Yeah.
and so he started getting attention for that. But now it's like a slow roll of like, okay, let's get the attention, so that by the time it
Mm.
hits on Christmas Day,
Yeah.
people will already know that like, hey, I got to go see this movie. And that's like one thing I think that was missing from the one battle after another. Like that seemed like, oh, Leo came out like the week before to do like the
Yeah.
promotion.
I think you're also seeing that too, where like I think we're also seeing more mainstream movies
Hmm.
actually premiere at these film festivals, so they get like the artist street cred. So like they did that with Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein at the Venice Film Festival, and I'm glad they did. But like on paper, I don't think I think people if they argued like, why is this? It's already got distribution, so like you're not showing it here for that. But it's
Yeah.
because it gives you, and I'm not judging them because any opportunity for Guillermo del Toro to get his flowers, I'm
I
all
mean,
about it.
that's like, but he is that type of director,
But
right?
I
Like,
think but I think that's what it is. I think it's
yeah.
like we start the momentum like 6 months out. So
Yeah.
like we start at a film festival. I think it had like a 13-minute standing ovation.
Hmm.
So you have that. And so like, all right, so from like the artistic side, it's doing well. Then from the commercial side, we have Netflix.
Hmm.
And then you have like all of these other we have like names. So you
Hmm.
have like
Oscar
Oscar
Isaac, and
Isaacs and
yeah.
you have Mia Goth and you have Jacob Elordi and then you also have Del Toro. So you have like this mix. So like commercially, it's got what it needs. And then you go to the film festival and it's kind of got like the elitist
Right.
like clapping. It's like, okay, so we've nailed both. And so then it's just a matter of like setting up the time. And then like the timing's right. I cannot tell you one of my biggest pet peeves is when you have a clearly gothic or horror or Halloween movie and it is not presented in October.
Yeah.
Drives
What
me
do you mean,
nuts.
June
I
in the
know,
middle of the
like it
summer?
drives me insane. So like I've already figured out like when I get to see
Yeah.
Frankenstein in theaters and I've already told the hubs like I don't care what you're doing that week.
Yeah.
I don't care who's playing. I'm kidnapping you. We're going to
Yeah.
go see it. Like it just is what it is. But that's the thing is like I think they've been very thoughtful and I think he's doing the same
Hmm.
thing. It's like how do we play kind of same thing like we got to do podcasts and we got to do
Hmm.
TikToks and we got to do interview shows and we got to do a junket and we got to do like all the things. I think it's playing into that because with each one you're kind of collecting all these infinity stones. Like, okay, here's where I collect the critics, here's where I collect the everyday person, here's where I collect like the readers, here's where I collect this. And so if you want all of them, you have to collect all of them and you have to
Hmm.
go where they are to get them. Otherwise, they're not going to join in. They're not going to
That's
go. They're
why
not going to
I
be
tweeted
excited.
earlier this week about like, when is Timothy joining the New Heights podcast? Because that's going to be a
Yeah,
clear
I
like
mean,
standout to get people to come out.
that's a
Because that's
segment
like
for sure.
the normie, sports fans that are listening to that
Yeah.
podcast. Why wouldn't you get them to come out for a ping pong movie? You know,
Yeah,
that's a sport, right?
I mean, honestly, depending on like which subsections you want in your
Hmm.
ICP, I mean, it makes sense to be like like what are the media outlets that are or opportunities or experiences that are most likely to capture the attention of that
Hmm.
crowd? And so, like, if that's what you want as a sports crowd, like New Heights is a great one to tap into for sure.
Well, yes, but I feel like that was what was very surprising about the Leo interview that they did. I feel
Mhm.
like the way that Jason and Travis talked to Leo about working with Paul Thomas Anderson, about working with Benicio del Toro, like the way that they were talking about the filmmaking, just everything, like didn't read to me as like, oh, these are like sports bros talking to
But
like,
I think that's why it's a good show. It's because like
no, totally.
especially Jason, like the way he
Yeah.
carries himself,
Yeah.
he preps.
Yeah.
You can
He's
tell he
definitely
does
the more
not.
serious brother.
Yes. We love Jason in this house.
Yeah.
But I think that you can tell that he doesn't just sit at the mic and start
Yeah.
freestyling. Like you can tell that he wants to be like I think it's clear that he's not just doing this for attention. He's just
Yeah.
not doing this for money. I think the same mentality that wanted him to be so good on the
Hmm.
field is saying like if I'm going to do this, I want to be the best at it. So that means I got to practice. So I think he has that same, and I could be wrong. I don't know Jason. I don't know that man,
No, I
but
mean, he has the
but he
vibes though.
comes
Plus,
but
look at
he
his
comes
wife. Like,
across. Oh, I love his wife. But it does come across as this is his new job.
hmm.
And so he's going to show up the way that he did when he was an NFL player. He's going to practice, he's going to be ready, he's going to watch the tapes, he's going to like
Hmm.
do whatever he needs to do so that he can come on and be the best and be at his best game. And so I think that's what we're seeing. And so I'm not really surprised by that. I think that they also jumped at that not just because it's Leo, but because that opens up segments for them too. I think we
Totally.
forget that like not only can you be a guest on a podcast and open up segments for you, but it also opens up segments for the host of the podcast itself to be
Totally.
like, well, now we can do more entertainment, or now
Hmm.
we can do this kind of niche, whereas before it would have felt weird.
Right.
So I think there's opportunity on both sides there.
Definitely. Definitely agree with that.